Yo, what is up guys, Delboy here. A quick preview and prediction for Lewis Ritson versus Robbie Davies Jr. This fight goes down on the 19th of October. It takes place in Newcastle and it's part of a really good domestic bill promoted by Matchroom. Now, in recent months, I have been rather critical of Matchroom in regards to the quality of shows that they are putting on in the UK, but credit where credit is due. This is a good domestic card on regular Sky Sports. These are the type of cards I want to see on Sky Sports. So you've got a great main event in Robbie Davies Jr. versus Lewis Ritson. That's a great fight, but also you have another really good domestic fight in Ted Cheeseman versus Scott Fitzgerald. That in itself is a very good domestic fight, and filling the bill you've got heavyweight Martin Bakole, he's staying busy, and also you have a decent fight at light heavyweight between Lawrence Azuke versus Ricky Summers. So the card itself is solid, it's a good domestic card, and in my opinion we should get these type of cards from Matchroom on a consistent regular basis, and this is the standard they should be aiming for moving forwards. You know, they also have the Liverpool card, headlined by Callum Smith versus John Ryder, world title fight on regular Sky. Again, this is what they should be working towards. So, credit where it's due. I've been critical in the past, but I like this card, it has to be said. But in regards to the fight itself, from the fan perspective at least, this one appears to be a 50-50 fight. I've not checked the bookies' odds yet, but people expect this to be a really close competitive fight that could go either way, and I tend to agree. Even the records are evenly matched. Both guys are 19-1, only difference being Robbie Davies Jr. has 13 knockouts in 19 wins, whereas Lewis Ritson has 12 knockouts in 19 wins. So the records are evenly matched. Also, both guys are of a similar size, so it should make for a really good fight. Also, the style clash in itself is really interesting. Lewis Ritson, as we know, he is a come-forwards fighter. He's a bit of a banger. He likes to march forwards behind that high guard. He'll pop that really hard jab in order to cut the ring off, and he'll look for that clubbing right hand behind it and that big left hook. You know, Lewis Ritson is the type of fighter who really does load up on pretty much every shot. He also likes to work that body as well to try and weigh you down. You know, he'll throw that left hook to the body and the left uppercut to the solar plexus. So, you know, Ritson is purely an aggressive fighter. You don't really see him take a backward step, and I expect no different in this fight. Robbie Davies Jr., more of a boxer type, I guess. He likes to utilise that jab, and he will try to find the openings. He'll try to capitalise on his opponent's mistakes. He's more of a cerebral boxer in comparison to Lewis Ritson. If you give Robbie Davies Jr. time and space, he can box. He's got a nice shot selection, good jab, good right hand, nice body puncher as well. He can pretty much throw every shot in the book. But Robbie Davies Jr. to me is the type of fighter where he needs things to be going well to be super effective. If you pressure him or make it hard on him, he's the type of fighter who loses his shape and loses his composure. I felt we saw that in his fight with Joe Hughes. Joe Hughes, a shorter guy, very awkward, aggressive, and in that fight, Robbie Davies Jr. struggled massively. In fact, I felt he lost that fight, if I'm being honest. He got outworked and he got roughed up on the inside. And also before that, his only defeat in his career, he lost to a Polish dude by the name of Michał Sajłatka. And in that fight, in the first fight, he was winning the fight, but again lost his shape late on. He succumbed to the pressure and he got stopped. To his credit, he did avenge that loss, so that's a good plus sign. He learned from that defeat. But I get the impression that if you pressure Robbie Davies Jr., he does break. And as we know, Lewis Ritson does apply very good pressure. The key for Robbie Davies Jr. is offsetting Lewis Ritson. Can he do that? Potentially. I think we know the weakness for Lewis Ritson is those body shots. In Lewis Ritson's only defeat, he lost to Francisco Patera, and That was at lightweight for the European title, and in that fight, Patera outboxed Lewis Ritson for large periods, but what really did the damage and what really put Lewis Ritson in his place was the body work of Francesco Patera. He hurt Ritson to the body on several occasions, and that's how he won that fight basically. He built on that, he hurt him to the body, then he proceeded to outbox him. Maybe that was due to the weight cut for Lewis Ritson going down to lightweight, potentially, but if I'm Robbie Davies Jr., I'm looking for that body. Davies can punch to the body like I said, and he needs to invest into the body early on in this fight to offset the onslaught of Lewis Ritson. But can he do that? As time will tell. I've got to say, I'm leaning towards Lewis Ritson in this fight. I think if it's a hard, tough, grueling fight, to me it favours Lewis Ritson. I think it favours his style, and I believe he will, in that type of fight, he'll come out on top. I think that's more his game, If he's trading with Robbie Davies Jr., I believe he is actually the harder puncher, so his shots will be more telling, and I think he copes with a crisis a bit better. Now, I know he got hurt by Patera and kind of went out with a whimper, but that's the only time we've seen that from Ritson, and potentially that was a weight issue, and he still didn't get stopped in that fight. We've seen Robbie Davies Jr. capitulate at super lightweight once before, and we saw him struggle mightily with Joe Hughes. And even in the Glenn Foote fight, Robbie Davies Jr. clearly beat Glenn Foote, but there were moments when Glenn Foote managed to get to the inside, have success, push Robbie Davies back, and that was a very tough fight for Robbie Davies Jr. What I'm trying to say is, I don't think Robbie Davies Jr. handles pressure that well. And also on top of that, I believe Lewis Ritson is the more rugged, durable guy. So going into this fight, I favour Lewis Ritson. I believe he will win this one. I'm not sure whether it's by knockout or points, but I'm pretty certain that Ritson wins. If I were to hazard a guess, I think we'll go with Lewis Ritson by knockout, by stoppage. So yeah, I'm going to go with a Lewis Ritson win, and I believe he will do it by stoppage. Good fight though, it's pretty much a 50-50. Wouldn't be shocked to see it go either way. I just favour Lewis Ritson in this one stylistically. I think his style will get the better out of Robbie Davies Jr. Also on the card, like I mentioned, Ted Cheeseman versus Scott Fitzgerald. Ted Cheeseman in recent fights hasn't been looking too hot. He's the British champion at super welterweight, whereas Scott Fitzgerald coming off a career best win over Anthony Fowler. So Fitzgerald has the momentum. I would say he's the better boxer between the two. So I am leaning towards Scott Fitzgerald in that fight. But Scott Fitzgerald, he does get lazy at times. And one thing about Ted Cheeseman you can't accuse him of is being lazy. He brings a very good punch output and he's aggressive, etc. So that's a really good fight. One I'm favouring Scott Fitzgerald to win. But I really wouldn't be shocked if Ted Cheeseman pulled that off. I wouldn't be shocked. I think that's a really good fight in itself. And again, a very good style clash. A very good style clash. You've got the pressure fighter in Cheeseman versus the more classical boxer in Scott Fitzgerald. Plus Fitzgerald has a bit of power as well. So that's a really interesting fight. I would probably lean towards Scott Fitzgerald though. But anyway, those are my thoughts on Lewis Ritson versus Robbie Davies Jr. and also my quick thoughts on Ted Cheeseman versus Scott Fitzgerald. Good card as I mentioned. Credit to Matchroom for putting this one on. Again, for me as a boxing fan, this is the standard I expect from Matchroom on a Saturday fight night. These are the type of cards I want to see. Share your thoughts below. First and foremost, who are you picking to win this fight between Ritson and Davies Jr.? Also, share your picks for Ted Cheeseman versus Scott Fitzgerald. And on top of that, how do you feel about this card in general? Do you agree with me that this is the standard Sky and Matchroom should be aiming for on regular fight nights? Share your thoughts below. This has been Blue Collar Sports TV. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Peace.